The world is lacking in no. I see that more and more parents are afraid to say no to children. Women are still afraid to say no to husbands, and some husbands fear saying no to their wives. People are afraid to say no to friends, daughters, in-law who can't say no to mother, in-law, bosses who can't say no to subordinates. Perhaps some do not even kidnap people, but they have small outbreaks when they hear no. Be it from the traffic guard, the boss, the teacher, the girlfriend, the bank manager. Parents say, I can't traumatize my son. And is it not uncommon for me to see some slaps of babies with 1 or 2 years? Others spend what they don't have on toys every day and parties of pharaonic birthday. Not to mention the teenagers. Nowadays, it's hard to hear someone say, no. You can't hit your little friend. No. You will not watch a soap opera made for adults. You will not spend the dawn on the street. No, you will not drive without driver's license. No, you won't drink a beer until you are 18. No, these people are not companies for you. No, today you will not game toy or eat snack and chocolatey. No, you will not miss at school without being sick. No, this conversation is not for you to get in. No, with that you won't play. No, today you it is in punishment and will not play in the park. Children and adolescents who grow up without hearing good, fair and firm, not growing without knowing that the world is not just theirs. And then, in the first, not that life gives you, and life will give you many. I'm not defending the return of rigid education and without dialogue, on the contrary. I strongly believe that children and adolescents treated with real love, without guilt, calm and free, can perfectly understand a sanction of the father or mother. Intuit that the love of the adults for children is not only pleasure, but it is also responsibility. And those who hear some not from time to time also learn to say them when needed. I end up learning that it is important to say no to some people who try to abuse us in various ways with respect and firmness, even if they are people who love us. It does not protect it. It does not teach it. It does not prepare. As hard as I try to say no to humans who cross my way when I believe it's time, and I also try to respect the no people I get. I don't always get it, but I try. I believe this is where the true proof of love is. And this is also where the solution to the increasingly excess and absurd violence is in our day. I confess, I received this text last week and would read it. But I would like to congratulate without knowing who it is. But she set out to make a reflection. People. Absolutely valid for the present day. My people. More and more I convince myself. And I speak here in my book of suffering that the great tragedies are slowly fed. Great tragedies happen from small carelessness. It is interesting that a tragedy, when it happens, is a junction of a series of small details that have been disregarded. True education, I worked and studied the educational process a lot, and I'm sure that many educators who now accompany me will agree with me. An educational process can only be healthy from the moment there is a balance between yes and no. I do not want to propose a repressive, coercive educational model, which will impose by the force of the scream, that will prohibit all aid. No. But what this psychologist is proposing is that we take responsibility at the right time, so that later we are not responsible for worse things, for tragic things. Today, my people, our great challenge as fathers and mothers, as educators, as people who somehow have the possibility to interfere with the social process, is that we educate people to the limit, to the situation we will all have what to face, where life will offer us a no. We cannot find a person who was happy and who was fulfilled, who only found yes for life. Quite the opposite. By the way, I believe a person becomes interesting as they are able to overcome the adversities he finds. No one is born ready. We do not have the possibility of having a ready life, a orderly world, if the people do not go through the experience of producing it. And a child is a venture that needs all the time being carved as if it were a sculpture from this human form, this tool called love, which gives two blows. Love is a tool that gives two blows to allow and to deny. He is wrong to think that love is a tool that only gives the coup of permission. No, love gives the coup of permission, but it also gives the blow of denial. Proclaiming God's victory is an interesting way we have. First, recognize what we expect from it. Because when we proclaim God's victory in our lives, we are recognizing that in us there is a part that belongs to it. Not that we are quartered. No. This totality of the human being is to understand that in him there is a non-nursing part that belongs to the sacred territory. It is the Christian identity being ensured in these details of existence. When we find out that within us there is a space for courage, but there is also a space for weakness. And in the reconciliation of these two realities, because they need to be reconciled all the time, since no one is brave ever, but no one is always a weakness. We make the mix, the transition from all the time we recognize each other somewhere in this story. Do not condemn you to die with your defects. Sad thing, my people. That's when we talk like that, I'm like this and don't change. Why, when we say we will not change, somehow we have already started to die. Because what does not change? This is why the concept of holiness is a dynamic concept that moves us all the time for life. Holy is not the one who is in the definitive. No, sane is the one who is in the constant movement of fighting to be better. Holiness. We are all invited to live. And sometimes we think saint is a thing of people who are already on the altar. No, holiness is a reality. It is a struggle for which we are all summoned. No, you don't have to be accommodating in the defects we have. It is so good that we have the feeling that has grown. Lift your eyes. Unlock your voice. Come receive new garments of light. Unlock your voice. You who are so often afraid to say, you who are so often afraid to talk about your difficulties, your boundaries. It is so good for us to have the courage to assume that we are fragile. It is so good that we have the courage to take on fragility because after her courage takes over us. And that is reality. It's not a small conversation, no. Sometimes we strive so much to win, but we forget a small and so fundamental detail in victory. For us to achieve victory, we need to make the constant experience of allowing what is part of God in us, that takes care, that He feeds, because what is His, He is already making it happen. Now, victory often does not occur because our willingness is to bring the carving with water so that God will make water turn into wine. This movement is human. It is human decision to believe in the word that transforms water into wine. Have you ever wondered how many human realities you experience, how many realities you live in your life that are similar to the history of wine, the water that turns into wine? How many human realities would you need to have the courage to present to the Lord and say, "Oh, my water and I would very much like the wine to happen. It's the struggle I bring, Lord. It is the commitment I have lived every day of my life. And I wait for your miracle. Because I know that this miracle occurs from two paths, mine and yours, which at one point come together. These are two gestures that have the power to transform and happen, and to do what once seemed impossible. Impossible causes, we often say. There are many causes that are impossible. It is because we have not done what is possible yet. We only have the right to wait for the impossible after we have done everything that was possible to us. And bringing the carving with water is a way we have to present to the Lord our commitment and our willingness. God, enter our life is here. Sometimes we often say that the one who converts is the heart, huh? But let's be... God gets in your head, you know why? The heart is just metaphor of what the brain has already decided. You love it, is here. Therefore, when the head does not work, the suffering is the heart. When we do not decide the person we are going to love, who suffers is the poor thing here, who is living the pressures. And then he gradually informs. And so, God happens in our head. That is why the Greeks had a very interesting expression which belongs to the context of philosophy. which a person is in fact modified is after the methane happened in it. Do you know what metatoia means? Change of mindset. What before revolved to the right now rotates to the lefty. This is conversion. Our reasoning managed to encompass some realities that before it did not encompass. Then we think more broadly. And sometimes things go badly in our lives. It's because you really lack vision. We still have to think differently. Because God happens in our lives when we think. God happens in our lives when we act for common sense. Or when we start putting our lives from some reflections. Or when we start living more reflected. Then we start to open the horizons to what seems so close. Then we started lighting lights in places that were once so dark. And that is what we want to do. It's been a pleasure having you with us on Path of Faith. We value your feedback, so please share your thoughts in the comments, give us a thumbs up, share this video with others, and hit the subscribe button to stay connected with us.